Mariam Khalil Ajimambuahi is the Group Head Digital Marketing, Let She Go Holdings. Thank you very much. Claudia Lumo is founder of Glitz Africa and UNFPA Ambassador Ghana. And last but not the least, we have Nana Oforiatai. She's a writer, an artist, a historian, and a filmmaker. Clearly, we have a very, very powerful house right there. So I'm just going to join them quickly, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you very much. Okay. We're sanitizing. You know, COVID is real. So you want to keep your mask on. There's a new one, the Delta variant. It just doesn't go away, does it? Oh. So, ladies, welcome. Very, very beautiful ladies. I'm going to start off with Femi. Again. I know how starting is, but this is just going to be a simple one. Speaking of empowerment, I feel like this opportunity given me is an example of empowering a woman. And I say this a lot, a Zongo girl from Nima, I never saw myself to get to this day, never, in front of, beautiful ladies like this, some coming from amazing backgrounds, including yourself. Claudia has given me that opportunity, and that is a form of empowerment. Is that all? Is that all empowerment is about?
I believe that empowerment is multifaceted. There's financial empowerment, your educational empowerment, even confidence in itself is empowerment. So platforms like this that people like Claudia, curate to provide an opportunity to share our stories or for you to share your knowledge or what you've learned, in itself is empowerment. So in relation to what I do, I run Group Sebastian, which is a hospitality group that is the holding company for a chain of restaurants, Madame Butterfly, Red Chili, Yummy Meals, Cajun Collective, and the one that everybody seems to know, Sandbox. And I also run a foundation called the Fair Justice Initiative, which is a prison prison NGO where we provide legal representation to marginalized people and skills training in the prison. You find that, gleaning from the presentation before, that most of the women in the prisons, especially those who are condemned or sentenced to life terms, are not empowered, whether it's financial, educational, etc. So they tend to make decisions that ordinarily they wouldn't make if they had those tools available to them. So I believe that empowerment is multifaceted.
Thank you very much, Femi. Claudia, I'll come to you. You have met a lot of ladies over the past years, being CEO of Glitz Africa. A lot of ladies here also came here because they follow you a lot. How would you describe the empowered woman? What for you are some of the things that makes you think that this lady or woman is empowered? You can use my mic.
Thank you, Asha. And I'm very humbled to be in front of all of you. Extremely humbled, especially the ladies who came. Fingers crossed that you meet me. For me, I feel like an empowered woman is a woman who is assured of her purpose. Whether you're working for somebody, you're working for yourself, when you're self-assured and you understand your purpose, I don't think you get distracted easily. For me personally, seeing another woman or a man doing well and me being happy for them is a reflection of where I am myself. I I always want to see how I can be useful to somebody. I always say that there's a reason why God opened doors for some of us. There's a reason why God is bringing some people to our way. Why do I have to be the only person to benefit from meeting this person? I think that's what pushes me or my company for us to create platforms like this, that we can share and network with other women. And in us doing that, we're empowering each other. We just heard from a lady who says she's a female painter. That really touched me, because we don't know a lot of that. For me, that's a huge empowerment. And it's her encouraging other women that, oh, okay, so the women can do that in Ghana and it's good. You can now network with her. Now you can get her to do some other things for you. So I think, as Femi said, it's everything put together, but when a woman is very confident in the place that they are, I think that's a form of a very strong way of saying that's an empowered woman.
And go right to Mariam. Based on what Claudia has said, Mariam, you are the group head digital marketing at Let She Go Holdings, a huge position. Yeah, in your position, I know you come across a lot of ladies, do you?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay, please finish.
How do you empower them? What sort of measures, what do you look out for when empowering somebody? Let me just say that. Before we move on to the measures that are used in empowering a woman, like Claudia already mentioned.
Right. So I work in a financial institution. A company name is Lesseho from Southern Africa. Claudia keeps telling me that she's still learning how to pronounce it. But what I would say is, if I look back at my career from a decade, I would say I've always been in a male-dominated industry. I've worked in technology, I've worked in banking, mainstream banking, and I'm working now in financial inclusion. And what I always do is create opportunities. What I do is to bring people along with whatever activity I'm working on or whatever initiative that I have the opportunity to be part of. I have worked on big, bold marketing initiatives. I have worked on rolling out digital banking in Ghana. And the beauty of all these initiatives is that, interestingly, they are heavily male-dominated. And what I always do, and I make it a conscious effort, is to bring all women along. And I do this heavily through experience. I do it heavily through education. And I do it heavily through sharing.
Thank you very much, Mariam. Let's hear from Nana Ofuriata. Yes, please pass the mic to her.
What would you?
Okay, sorry for that technical glitch. Is it working perfectly now?
Hello?
Yes. So I had this quote: empowered women empower women. What does that quote mean to you?
I think that it means that, first of all, if you're empowered yourself, you resonate something out. People look at you, and they can expand themselves by seeing you as an example. I remember when I started out in my field, there weren't that many young women African curators, art historians. I was interested in Russian. I was a young African girl. My parents thought I was crazy. To want to learn literature, languages. When we're growing up, we're taught as educated young Africans that either you become a lawyer, an engineer, or a doctor. Those are the things that you strive towards. So if in any way you feel yourself stepping outside of the box, there's a lot of questioning. How are you going to earn a living? How are you going to be successful? There's not much of clarity of the future, and so you have to live with that uncertainty, not just within yourself, but also reflected at you from the outside world. And so I think by empowering yourself, first and foremost, you you shine a light on the path that others can tread. They look at you and say, this person forged their own path, and become empowered to forge their own path themselves. And then obviously as you forge that path, you also kind of trample down the jungle, or the kind of the twigs and the branches that allow others to forge that path as well. And then you take people with you as you go, especially young women. I think probably everyone here, makes an effort to bring young women with them, because they all know of the struggles that we had as we were coming up the path.
So I'm going to stay with you, Nana Frieta. Coming off as empowered or being an empowered woman, does it not come with a lot of pressure? You're supposed to take along ladies, even if you can't. You just have to empower another woman. What do you have to do just to lessen the pressure, if it does come with that pressure?
I think it's correct that there's a lot of pressures. There's societal pressure, the pressure to have it all, whether it's the job, being a good daughter, a good girlfriend, wife. We live in Ghana, our roles are very defined. There's all kinds of pressures that come on us to, especially if, like Claudia or Femi, or I don't know your work so well, Mariam, if you're creating something that hasn't been created before, like Glitz, for example, there's a pressure to succeed in it, to not fail. And so I think the one of bringing women with you is almost the least of those pressures, because it's something that comes naturally, I think, to most of us that do forge that path, the judgment blows up. And so when you fail, for example, even in mentoring young people, because you're not quite sure of the path yourself, there's quite a lot of judgment that comes with that. And I'd say to that, the biggest thing is to be kind to yourself, to be not so judgmental to yourself, because I know for myself and all those that I know who have succeeded in their paths, we are our biggest critics. And so I'd say to continuously be kind to yourself, and to allow for failure, to allow for the fact that you're not going to be perfect, even to those that are looking up to you.
So I'll take another one from Femi and just quickly ask that, because there's a lot of pressure with being the empowered woman, for a lot of us that are seated here, is there a way we can empower ourselves? Not just wait for someone to lend a helping hand. Is there a way that we can be close to that position, so that when the opportunity opens up, we can just show up and then excel? Is there a way we can do that?
Absolutely. I believe that we're always waiting for the best time, or the best, for everything to be perfect before we actually make a leap of faith. I'll share a story with you. So when I moved back, I worked at a bank for about 6 months. Didn't go too well. I didn't fit in. And I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer, and I knew I wanted to start my restaurant. I decided to enroll in law school, and my boss at the time, and I'm great friends with him, so if he sees this, that's fine. He said, I don't think you should resign yet, in case you don't get into law school. I walked back into my office and I resigned that day, because I just didn't understand why there was a but, or there was an if. If you didn't get in, then you shouldn't resign, because it looked as if that was my only way out. So I went to law school, and then I started my first restaurant, which was Red Chili, with 600 CDs. At the time, the dollar was 1-to-1, so it was literally $600. In my grandmother's kitchen, I was the first cook at Red Chili. I was the one who was taking the orders, and I used to do the deliveries, and it was always late. But my point is, a lot of people said to me that you're not going to make it. People are not going to order, local cuisine at work. And I mean, you're a banker. You should do the orthodox, like she said. And your decision to become empowered is, to a large extent, your internal decision that you actually want to do it. And once you have that in your mind, the naysayers, the distractions, even when it seems as though it's not going to work, you are so fixated on your dream and your desire to be empowered that absolutely nothing stops you. So if, let's say you want to be a restaurateur, but you started it out, do something. Whether it works out or it doesn't work out, do something. I failed so many times, you know. I failed at my delivery service, but you were forced to come back to the table to figure it out. And from there, once you believe it, I have this saying that I say all the time. My daughter is in the audience, and I say, face your destiny very squarely. You know, I live by that principle, as in, my destiny is not yours, so I don't have the time to hear or pay attention to all the naysayers. And it's okay for you to fail. So from Red Chili, I did that continuously for 10 years, and I've always wanted to own a chain of restaurants with different concepts. So I started Madame Butterfly, and then the culinary school, and then the Yummy Meals, which is bespoke catering for kids. And then my biggest project was Sandbox. Everybody thought it wasn't going to happen. First of all, I don't go out as much, so you know, people just assume that how's this going to work out, you know. But I always tell myself I just need to create a product that's so good that you can't afford to ignore me. So my point is, if you want to be that empowered woman, you have to want it within yourself, and then you can find the people that you can look up to. So you're on the path, you learn something from Claudia, myself, Mariam, anybody, right? But you've already mapped out your path to live it. So you don't have to wait to meet me or meet Claudia. You just have to keep doing the research, keep at it, and the most important thing, don't quit. And you don't need anybody to validate your dreams.
Great one there, Femi. Great one there. So at this point, before I come to Mariam and then Claudia, does anybody have a question they want to ask? Or contribution, if you please. Okay, my lady in the red. Grandma, please, can you get a mic to my lady in the red, please? Oh, all the microphones are here, so let me do this.
Thank you. Good morning. First of all, I want to say thank you for this. My question is to Femi. So she just made mention of something that create your own dreams, and then even if you don't get to meet people, you know what you are about, so you just go for it. My question is, sometimes you are a bit confused, okay? You don't know where to start from. So I'm a PhD dental, and before I met her, I was really confused. Like, I knew I had a lot of ideas, and ideas really come to me. But one thing she made me understand is to write them down. And if you don't follow them today, tomorrow you will follow them. And that's great. But for many people here, and even for my friends and for myself, I feel sometimes you get confused, okay? And you wish you could bring everything from your head and see it manifest, okay? But you just don't know where to start from. And you sometimes just give up because I'm tired, I don't know what to do again, and you just feel like, let me just give up. But then again, you know there is something inside of you that really, really wants to do so much. Like, you look out there, you know, I can't do so much, but the doing so much, the edge is there, everything, the passion, but that thing, that starting point, it becomes so cloudy, it becomes so, I don't know.
I see a lot of people nodding. That means they agree with, what's your name, please?
Sewa.
Sewa. They agree with what Sewa is saying. Femi, the confusion stage. You have everything to start, but you're confused.
Thank you for your question, Sarah, and it looks like it's a very popular question. You will be confused, that's a fact. But just like the little notebook thing, where you have a notebook that even as you're sitting here or you're sitting in your car and you have an idea and you write it out. A lot of times what we don't do is to research. We want to start now. If you start without doing the research, you'll make more unnecessary mistakes. So when you're in that confusion state, you're asking for clarity, right? And I believe that if God brought me to it, He'll see me through it, okay? So you have to plug into whatever it is for you that sees you through situations, okay? For me, it's my faith, okay? Now, when you have that idea and you write it down, let me give you an example. You want to open a salon, right? You're confused because you want to either do braids, you want to do short hair, you want to do coloring, you want to do everything, right? You break down the confusion by actually writing all the possible things that you can do with the salon, right? You research what each and every one of them entails. If I want to do coloring, what are the best colorists? What are the best products? How do I keep my hair healthy with the coloring, right? If I want to do braids, what are the different types of braids and what are the textures of hair that we're using, and keep breaking each and every one idea down. When you break it down, then you start doing a process of elimination, which is, this is either more capital intensive, this will be in phase 3, this will be in phase 1, this is what I can start with what I have, this is how I'm going to move from point 1 to point 2, and then you can start. The problem is we don't spend enough time researching. We don't spend enough time finding out what's on the market. What is the competitive advantage that I'm going to bring onto the scene? What is everybody else doing? It's okay to look at your competition. There's nothing wrong with it. I need to find out what they're doing to see what I can do better. At some point you realize that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Banku and Oko is Banku and Oko. It's the same thing across board. You know, the best you could do is maybe introduce another flavor or something, but the main ingredient is okra, cassava, and the rest of it. So I believe when you're in that confusion state, you're just asking for clarity. Spend some time, brainstorm. I believe in alternate worlds. So I'll brainstorm with somebody who's not in my industry because they can tell me how it looks from the outside. I can believe in my product. I can see that it's a great product, but I need to know from the person who shows up at Sandbox how the experience that I'm trying to manifest is actually, they're experiencing it. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to look for it. Don't be afraid to find the person in your industry that is doing it and doing it well. The worst they can say to you is no. And after they say no, move on to the next. Don't even spend too much time on that no. So I think when you're in that confusion state, it just means that you just need to bring all your ideas together, write it out, take a board, write it out, cross it out, find out the reasons, the pros and cons. We don't spend enough time doing that, and that's why you get confused. With your question on how to just start, girl, just do it afraid, and you'll be fine. You'll make the mistakes, you'll fail at something. I've had different failures. I continue to fail at certain things that I put out, you know. So I'll give you an example, because I think sometimes when we sit on the podium, you feel like we don't have the same issues that you have. We actually do. I mean, Claudia and I were just having a conversation about what it takes to put this together, you know, and continuously doing it. So in my chain of restaurants, Madame Butterfly is the one that it didn't go exactly as planned. And I'm not afraid to say it didn't go exactly as planned, right?
Everybody is confused. Everybody is in a different stage of confusion. Yeah? So confusion itself is good. Meaning you have something on the table. Your problem is you're confused with what to do. Somebody doesn't even know what to do. So the fact that you actually have different things that you want to do, for me, is a winning stage already. It's a winning mindset already. Now, it's a matter of taking everything that Femi is saying now, figure it out. Which one is good? You have to, end of the day, you have to pay bills, right? If you have kids, you have to look after them. Which one? Be realistic with yourself. is not what is nice to do. It's what is going to help you grow, what is going to help you make some income, what is going to move you from this state and this one. There's some that are nice to do. Yeah. And there are some that we do, just for other people. But really, which one is going to bring your income? Which one is going to help you to grow? Which one can you start now? And which one can you do 2, 3 years, 5 years from now? Sometimes the pressure is us, because we want to try and do 3, 4 things at the same time. Who are you trying to impress? At the end of the day, if your dad gets overly stressed and your dad is gone, well, we'll come and say sorry and everything. You just need to be realistic with yourself and your strength. And it's okay not to have everything figured out. I mean, who really has everything figured out? Nobody. That's why even presidential people have senior advisors and people around them, because they're always confused. So I would be worried about somebody who say, you know what, I've really got this figured out. And for me, my strength and the strength of every people that I really respect in life are people who know when to say that, you know what, I need help from this. Can you help me to guide me through this? I have people that I always go to ask them and say, can you help me with guidance with this? You need people like that, yeah? And sometimes, even it can be your mom. It can be your grandma. It doesn't have to be the dentist or the femis or, ashes of this world, or, whoever. It can be even your best friend, or somebody that would not look at you and lie to you, but will be able to tell you that, you know what, I think you're good at makeup, but not so much with the hair. Maybe so start with doing the makeup. Maybe just start doing eyelashes and figure out the makeup later. So you just need somebody who will look at you and give you the, what's the right, be honest with you. And all of them will come, because people sometimes ask me that, how did you start with, I didn't have a clue that I would be even doing production. It's people that knew me from KNUST that say that, oh Claudia, but didn't you know that you were organizing Miss KNUST, you were doing all these events at KNUST? It never even clicked that event was something that I would do as, production is something that I would do for a career. So sometimes it's just figuring it out and just starting one step at a time and not putting pressure on yourself. It's okay. It's okay if you don't figure it out this year and you figure it out in 5 years' time.
Thank you very much. This is not a subject that we can overemphasize. You've been smiling since. The confusion stage, what are your thoughts on it? The confusion stage, what we've been talking about so far, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I agree with what everybody up here has said. I think to be patient with yourself and not also think that there will be a perfect state ever. I mean, I'm sitting here now in a state where I've literally achieved every single thing that I put down on my list when I was probably 15, 18. I wanted to write a book, I wanted to build an institution, I wanted to change the cultural narrative of African, all of these things. I had all these dreams and I've achieved everything. But am I in a state of perfect perfection? No. I mean, there's no such thing as that. Everybody has their dreams that they want to achieve. And it's a step-by-step process, I think. The thing is not to be impatient with oneself. I think if there's one thing that I would have said to myself when I was starting out, would be, I'm saying this again, and I said it before, would be the self-kindness, there's patience with oneself. To know that whatever happens, it's okay. That you are, like Femi was saying, whatever it is that guides you, whether it's your faith or, whatever it is that's guiding you to your purpose doesn't have to be completely clear. Every step that you take is leading you towards that place. Everything that comes into your life, the people that you meet, the books that you read, the things that you see, just keep your eyes open, keep all your channels open, keep your spirit open to whatever, is the voice that's guiding you. Everyone around you will feed into your own clarity. Be open to it. And also keep polishing yourself. Keep learning, keep doing online courses, keep open. And that clarity of where you're going to go will just emerge. And at some stage or other, you get to a state of peace, I'd say. Peace with your own path. And for me, actually, that's what I would call the empowered woman, that state of peace within yourself, where you're no longer rushing and striving towards any kind of external goal, but you're within yourself, you say, I've arrived, I'm here.
Right, Mariam, for those that are now at the stage of giving up, I've been there once. I was sacked from a place that I worked because I was overqualified. I said I would even do it for free. Just let me be here and know that I'm not wasting my time. After I had lost a job so I was like, so what do? You are at this stage, you are almost giving up. What is the best thing to do at that point?
I would match giving up to what your objectives are, right? Because sometimes what may be perceived as giving up may just be changing your strategy. And I think that from my personal examples, what I would say is it's always good to have a plan. I tell people who would listen is that take your life as a business. If your life was a business, how would you manage it? You know, how would you wear your limitations and how would you overcome that? You know, I've been in the most craziest roles, to running the most experiential activities, to moving from technology to finance to advertising. I mean, if I tell you where I started my career from, you would be amazed where I am today. And it's only because I wanted my dreams to scare me. You know, I wanted to achieve certain elements within my career by a certain age. We also talk about what becomes competition, and I would say the best competition should be yourself, but also what becomes the standard for you is what you have mapped out as a person. You know, you may give up a job because you want to focus on your family, and there's nothing wrong with that, because maybe you need to raise your kids, and raising empowered kids may be your calling. You may be at work and possibly become the CEO in the next 5 years or 3 years, and you may be seen as the BITCH there, but it's okay because you know where you're going, you know, and all these stereotypes come across because of who we are as women, and it would be there, the stereotypes are there, but it's how you manage it, how you make the most of it, and as Claudia said, how you have to pick the right mentors, you know, and knowing that you have a focus plan, you know where you're going. I told myself, I think about 12 years ago, that by age 35, I would want to have a group role. And anyone who works in a multinational, when you say you have a group role at 35, that's a pretty big deal. And I'm grateful for my mentors, I'm grateful for all the experiences I've had, I'm grateful for my network. And I think there's also the power in network. There's also looking after people and learning a lot from them. If I tell you that Femi and I were in school together, it would be quite interesting, right? She was ahead of me 1 year. And you look at your friends now, and you also ask yourself, are my friends enhancing my life, or I need to drop them? You know, are they helping me make money? Are they helping me advance my career? Are they helping me, you know, achieve my goals as a person? By the time you're able to do this level of analysis, just as you do in a business, you look at your life and say, okay, even with my partner, is he giving me value? Do I need to give up on him? You know, sometimes you need to ask yourself realistic questions. Be blunt with yourself. Look in the mirror and say, who am I? You know, 10 years, 15 years, 5 years. It's always great to have a 5-year plan. Every 5 years you do that review. The good thing about us is that once you get to a December, it's a renewed year. So that December, you look at your whole year and say, okay, what is my life in review? What am I changing? What am I adding? What am I not doing again? What am I making sure I'm doing? You know, and your ability to do that review gives you the strategy for the next year. And then your ability to do even quarterly reviews of what you're doing and being intentional. I tell you, I've been chasing Femi, and she'll tell you, for the past 1 year. I said, Femi, you're running a beautiful business. I have expertise in finance and marketing, and I want to help you. It's because I see that I can give value to her, and vice versa with Claudia. We've known each other over 10 years, And because the first time we met, she was dreaming of glitz. She was dreaming. But today we sit here because she had a vision of glitz. And what I'm just trying to say that when it comes to giving up, as you mentioned, it may just be that stepping stone to something even bigger.
Thank you very much, Mariam. Now, what Mariam mentioned about friendship, I had a lot of giggles in the audience. Does anybody want to share a thing or two? Oh, you do? Go ahead, you have the mic.
Okay, so I already wanted to speak about what Fanny said earlier.
Right.
When she asked the question about hitting a dead end or knowing what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So Femi's submission actually just took my mind back to, okay, I feel like I like the story, it's very inspiring, but I just feel like it works for someone who comes from a position of privilege. By what I mean by privilege is not, no, hold it. What I mean by privilege is not wealthy. It comes from social capital. She mentioned that your friends, so that's social capital. It comes from being in a position where, at least if you've not gone too far like research, it means that you should have been able to have an education. And so this to say me, who, let's say, have come here with my sister, and I probably don't know, and I've not had an opportunity before. And there are a whole lot of intersections, like I'm poor, or say I've not been to school, I don't have that research capacity. I want to start something, the ideas are big, they are in my head, I want to do it, I really want to go for it. But realistically, what's there? My environment, there's only so much I can do. 2, there's a whole lot of responsibility behind. 3, I have to think about, okay, just do it. How do I just do it? Because if I want to start a restaurant, how do I just do it? If I don't even need anything, I need up to 100 cities. I cannot even feed myself to start from. So I feel like, I like it, but I also feel like it eliminates a particular group of people. That's the people who want to do it. I want to start. Maybe all they need is just like a pedestal, just like one step. Someone should just give that platform for them to have to do it, but it's that one person they cannot find because of the environment. So yes, for me, by privilege, I did not.
I just want to ask you a question. I really appreciate your question. What happens when you don't find that person who's going to give you a pedestal? I'm just asking. I really like your question, so let's just have this conversation. What happens to that person when you don't find anybody who's going to give you a pedestal?
I appreciate the fact that you have to give yourself some form of confidence, and you have to like do with what you have, or go as far as you can go with it. But if you think, I'm talking in context of you doing what you really want to do, or you having to get there at that point, or just do it. It doesn't, because I feel like, even if I empower myself, okay, I want to be a writer, I want to write, and blah, 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 and then all I need to do, I need all the ingredients to have to do that in the first place. And to have to tell the story in the first place. So even if I tell that story, or say I have the pen and the paper and I write that story, now I need, let's not even pretend that I don't even need somebody to even have to look at my story and see. And even if I have somebody, it's about, oh, that profiling. Oh, I've not gotten the right person to really appreciate my story. Upon the 100 of editors I would visit, you would really have somebody throw my story away because of looking at her, where she, and even somebody wants to steal that story too.
Okay,
so that's
so I don't believe,
I'm
sorry,
point of privilege.
thank you so much, but I'm going to have to disagree with you, right? And I'll tell you why. I get it. You would find that person who's going to give you that pedestal, or when you so strongly believe that I actually need a Claudia, or I need a Femi, or I need a Mariam, or a Nanaya, or an Aisha, or something like that, then you're not actually believing in your dreams the way you need to believe in your dreams. And I'll tell you why. Because, and I'm telling you a true story, there's an inmate at the prison, I keep crossing in between my roles, who has a 60-year sentence for robbery. His wife, or his ex-wife, is a hairdresser who lives in a kiosk. Because he values education despite his wrongs, right? His daughter, he put his daughter through school. I mean, she went to, from your explanation, a regular school. She didn't go to where Mariam and I went to, a regular school, right? She did her absolute best. Were times when she wouldn't be in school because of no school fees, but she was constantly at it, doing her best, her teachers were noticing how much effort she was putting into school. Fast forward, her mother works at a salon in an area where I don't think wash and set is even 15 cedis, right? But every dime this woman made, she put towards her daughter's education. Fast forward, she graduates and does so well. The teachers in the school all help to support her, and she gets enrolled in KNUST to read chemistry. She reads chemistry, and after her first year, I meet her father at the prison. Obviously, he was still doing something wrong. And I'm having a conversation with him in one of my sessions, and he says to me, I have a child in tech. I'm not believing him, so I say, let your daughter call me tomorrow. This girl calls me on the phone. I get a lot of calls. I have a phone that's just for the prisons. I get a lot of calls from the prisons. This girl calls me consistently. She sends me her grades, and she has all A's. She sends me a message, and she can tell me that the only amount she has on her is 1 CD, 80 pesos. She survives on campus by washing people's clothes to be able to make money. So I'm like, at this point, like, wow, you're actually doing so much with absolutely nothing. I'll pay your fees for you. I pay her fees for 3 years, the rest of her 3 years, and she graduates first class in chemistry. After a year, she gets a job. We try to help her get a job. She never asked me for anything past her school fees. That when I found out that they do projects, I was even taken aback because she literally would just make do with the money that I would send her. Today, as we speak, she got I think it was more than $75,000 scholarship to university in America, and the balance that I had to personally pay for her was less than $10,000. So if you believe in your dreams so much, trust me, and I'll go back to my faith, God will make sure that all the right things fall into your place. I don't believe that it's going to be that. There are many stories like that. I have a chef, I have a cook, a kitchen porter. Those are the ones in the restaurants who just clean the plates. He worked for me for 2 years, but he watched my group executive chef, who's a graduate of one of the best culinary schools in New York. He watched him consistently for 2 years. Today, as we speak, he's a line cook at Sandbox. And he literally can't read or write, right? But he's able to make some of the best meals. So now that we have a culinary school and we're about to start the chef program, he's the first person within my team that I'm going to enroll in the chef program when it starts. So I get your point. But the point is, whatever you have, let it be even nothing. Just continue to keep your dream alive. That's what I think.
So I think Nana Furiata wants to say something. We'll come to you, Claudia. You are itching. I'll come to you, King.
I just wanted to say, sorry, what was your name? Nasiba. Nasiba, I hear everything that Femi said, but I actually agree with you too. And I think that something that we don't talk about enough is the role of privilege. I can say for myself that, and you're not talking about wealth necessarily, but talking about I have parents who valued education. They put everything, everything that they worked on was to educate me and my siblings. I had, the privilege of travel. As you can tell from my accent, I got to see lots of different things. I had the privilege of an empowered mother, a mother that said to me, follow your dreams. I had, I can count the privileges that I had that are not necessarily financial. I would say my parents moved abroad, struggling, whatever, and they picked themselves up. But I had immense privileges that not everybody has. I didn't have to go to work when I was 8 years old. I didn't have to, you know, there's so many things that I was privileged in. And so I think it's really, really important, actually, this point that you make, that we acknowledge our privilege. And it comes back to what you were saying, Aisha, about how important it is to take people with you. I think that one thing that probably everyone, I'm assuming, has is that, and Femi, you were saying it even in what you were saying about your prison programming, is the notion that if you walk through a door, you have to keep that door open for others to walk through. And I think, you know, it's obviously the biggest societal thing that we have here, where we live in a society where majority of the people don't even have their basic needs covered. Hello? Food, shelter, all of those things. So the question that you're asking, or what I hear in what you're asking, is that if you don't have the privileges that maybe one of us here doesn't have, that platform of privilege, whether it's parental love, education, knowing people, and even seeing people within your vicinity that have succeeded. You know, I'm the youngest of 5 siblings. All of my siblings are inspiring to me, and that in itself opens doors. And so what do you do if you come from a place where you have none of those privileges? I hear that question, and I think for myself at least, it's a question that I in my work ask myself all the time. How do I pass on the privileges that was not just handed to me, but that I worked for? You know, as a woman, as an independent woman, successful woman, how do I pass those privileges on? And I think that if everyone asks themselves that, you know, what do I do? And it comes back to your first question, not just to empower myself, but to empower others, then it's a question of handing on privilege. And I think that's the only answer that I can see to Nasiba's question. Did I say your name right?
That's her name.
Is that we all need to be our citizens in a way that you know, and I know that, for example, I've been guilty myself when I've been in a very, very, very busy state, and someone comes to me that I might not necessarily have the energy to give what I can, but I think that's the trick in a way. You were saying maybe people don't have that person that they can go to, but that those of us who have succeeded in ways try and keep that space open and our eyes open for those who don't necessarily have privilege. And the privilege can be as simple as supporting someone and saying to them, you are capable. You know, like the kind of love that my mother gave me, the kind of support that she gave me, if I can give that to somebody else, that might lift them in ways that I can't even imagine. And so I think for me, that's the only answer, is that the passing on of privilege for those who have either been passed down, had it passed down, or those who've worked for it.
Passing down privilege. Okay, Mary, do you want to speak before Claudia? Okay, good.
Let me take it this way. There's privilege at different levels. You know, we even sitting in this room, somebody watched, right? Let me wear my digital cap, because I have a lot of caps, and say that what has become the world today is a democratization of information, you know. And I say that if we now have social management tools, we now have social media tools such as Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I ask all of us in this room, we all have either a dream, we have a business we want to start, we have an activity that we want people to know. And say you don't have anybody, you have poor parents, even your parents are dead, you don't have siblings, you don't have anything. But the question is, what are you using these channels to do to even project that business? Are you using half of your page to show your body? Or you are using half of your body to show your product? You know, we are in a world now where if you're a writer and you write really well, believe me, somebody will pick it. Somebody will reach out to you and say, I'm looking for that writer. All you need now is an email address. Push and push. Send to whoever you think you need to meet. Send them, pester them, that look, I want to be a writer of this repute, and I will send this email to you, hear of me. And like I keep saying, privilege is relative. There's privilege with money, there's privilege with network, there's privilege with exposure. And as I said here, there's so much of it by God's grace that I have been given. But there was still more I had to fight for. Because the more you have, the expectation is even higher. You know, and as Nana was speaking, I could so connect to her story. An empowered mother, a successful businessman as a father, very aspiring siblings, you know, making sure that I'm pushing the boundaries in my career. But in all of this, I just made sure that I was focused on what I wanted, making it so clear that in everything that I am doing, I know where I want to go. And anybody standing in my way, you are either adding value or I'm kicking you off. So always have that mindset, and believe me, those who will go with you will go with you. Those who are meant to fall off will fall off.
I'm a bit divided on this particular one. You know, Nana admitted that, you know, there are days she's just so tired and someone comes in with something they need. There are even days that I go through that and I just can't help you. I don't have the energy. Nasiba is the one person who has been sending those emails. She has sent it over and over and over again. And I just always don't have the energy to help her in any way. She doesn't know what else to do. I think that's where she is at right now. Like, what else do you do?
I think the beauty is there's more than one Aisha, right?
Right.
And I keep talking about the democratization of the world today. Aisha is in Ghana. Look for Aisha in Nigeria. Look for Aisha in Kenya. Look for Aisha in Japan. Look for Aisha in Nigeria. Anywhere. And the thing is that if you want it, you need to do the research. You need to read. My degree is in communication design. I did advertising, I did packaging. But I'm sitting in finance. I work with financial products. I develop financial products. And I would ask myself, how did I get there? Because I put in the work. I learned it. I painfully learned it. Most of my friends will say, Mariam, you don't sleep. Claudia will say, Mariam, you're sending messages at 4 a.m. Because I know where I want to go. You know, so have that plan, have that strategy. Have 2 or 3 people that you're looking up to, that you know that in the next 5 years, this is who I want to be, or this is how I want to look like. And just follow that person and be able to have a path towards that. And like I'm saying, we have our social pages. We don't always have to follow the social elements, but let's also follow the educational and impactful elements that would impact our lives and our careers.
Claudia wants to ask something. She's been waiting to ask something.
I'll try and keep it very brief because I think I need a one-on-one with you because I'm quite emotional about what you said because it worries me when younger people have that kind of mindset because I do not believe in that one bit. And who is the one to say somebody is privileged? What is your definition of that privilege? Is it because somebody's wearing a nice wig? Is it because somebody speaks well? Is it because somebody dressed well? I have people that I see them in the same kind of white shirt, but always nicely ironed and washed. And I have so much respect for that person, that somebody who comes to me every day in a different suit and a different eyelashes. So it's you the person, and how you are justifying somebody's privilege. There are people that come from rich homes, and trust me, all they've done is drugs. They don't have half of what Claudia, I have started a brand that nobody knew about it, but now it's global brand. You cannot stand in front of me and tell me because you went to GIS and I went to Christian Preparatory in Kumasi, you had a better privilege than I did. So it's your mindset and where you sit and how you see it. Listen, there are people, and it's also you are sitting there and looking at people on social media and thinking that they're looking at us and you are wanting to be that person. That's why you're saying privilege. I have people, you know you want to start a restaurant, right? There are people that will go to people and say that. Some people feel too big to make that move. But people will say that, Madam, I know how to do shito, but can I start as a waiter here? I work from, when people, if you go to people like FMO, whoever, somebody who does restaurant chopper by your house, yeah? If you're not big enough to go there, and you say that, Madam, I walk from Osu to Labadi every day to your restaurant,
I like your food, I want to start here, I want to maybe start doing waiting here. So you're saying that person will say, oh, you are working every day to this place. It's what you have done. People want to support people who are ready, who are doing something, who are passionate. It's the story you're coming with me with that is going to make you, because we see people all the time. I see people in front of me all the time and I laugh because they have no clue where they are heading towards. You are at 1 and you want to get to 100? No, please, cap at 1 and let me know that this is 1. And it's what you have done. Do you get what I mean? But people are saying, oh, okay, because I don't even have 10 Ghana cedi. Who told you the people you think are privileged have that 10 Ghana cedi to start with? Sometimes you don't need that 1 cedi. It's your attitude and who you go to and what you have done. If you are not feeling big enough and you don't need, honestly, I need one more.
Actually, let me just add that. And what I say to all of us in this room, and I say this passionately, is, and even to my colleagues on this panel, let's be honest. Let's share real stories, because that's where we learn. You had a relationship, it didn't work. It's okay, tell a friend about it, she'll learn something from it. You had a job, you had a very ill boss, a boss that it didn't work, tell the truth. And that's where we learn and that's where we pick from, because it's from stories that we learn, it's from stories that we evolve. So for me, I know that sometimes people look perfect, but you believe me, there are so many issues. And for me, any woman who is at any point of influence, let's just be honest.
This has been really insightful. I know a lot of questions. I know. But we have to go for a 5-minute break. And when we come back, maybe... So we'll take a couple of questions before we go for the break. Who first? I saw your hand first, so the mic is... Oh, very okay. Hi, please, your name and where you are coming from, please.
Hi, my name is Benedicta. I agree with Miriam a lot about friendship. My best friends and I from Kobe Girls Senior High School started a cruelty-free magnetic eyelash brand, and it's doing pretty well in Ghana. And I just wanted to ask, what are the 3 major tips about social media marketing?
Social media marketing, who's going to take that? Mariam? Yeah. A digital head.
First of all, you have to define your business, which you have. And what it is that just remember that social media marketing is a channel of marketing. Social media tools is an aspect of your total 360 marketing strategy. So understanding your product, understanding your target, and also understanding what you aim to achieve from social media. Either you're driving awareness, you're driving conversion, or you're driving engagement. And knowing that your digital community, depending on who they are, may either be sitting on a specific channel, so making sure that you're using that specific channel to engage them. And if you're using it to drive sales, you're constantly engaging them from a sales angle and having a loyalty program that then comes back to support your business.
Okay, I'll take another one, very brief, and then brief answers so that we can go. I'll take yours.
Sorry, the mic is here. My name is Lucy Akosiafiadono, and myself, I've been moderating sessions like this for STEM this past week by prime time. But with regards to the question here, we've been speaking about the fact that we need giants, and if you've seen further, it's because you have stood on the shoulders of giants, and because they can see what is before and you not being able to see that. We want panelists to be prescriptive, help us with what will future hold for us. We'll be discussing what we don't have, etc. But what will the future hold for us so that we can prepare and position ourselves to grasp these opportunities. Thank you.
Claudia, would you take that?
I think that the future holds what you want it to, right? And it's also about what you define as what the future is for you. Because like I keep saying, we are defined with success in different ways. Be it creating a family, be it running a business, be it social impact, be it using religion to change the mindset of people for the good. So I think that you need to categorize what the future is. Are you looking at it from an economic perspective? Are you looking at it from community? Are you looking at it from business, etc.? But then if you're talking about you as an individual, it's really what becomes your defined moment when you are called. And I always ask my friends that if you were to write your obituary today, what would it look like? And would you be happy with it? So it's almost to say that backtrack your life and say that if you were here for the next 10, 20, 50 years, what kind of impact are you having? And what kind of future are you also then creating for yourself and making sure that you are leaving the impact for the next generation that you are leaving?
Thank you very much, Miriam. We'll take another question. What's your name, please?
My name is Abigail, and I'm a cancer researcher.
Abigail, you want to speak a little louder so we hear you? Thank you.
I was just going to take the cue that Mariam talked about, that so I'm saying that for all of us here who want to do something, even for job roles that I wasn't even qualified for, I would find the hiring manager and say, is this what you're looking for? Are you looking for a person with so and so qualifications? And they might sometimes say, oh no, if you can hit these targets, and I'll tell them, I can do it, and I would apply. And I'll say, well, I've applied, so I hope to get invited for an interview, and I will prepare, and I will get the job. So I think, let's not just look at privileges, let's find the people who can help us privilege. But I think my question that I would ask the panel.
Okay, you want Andrea to start, okay.
First of all, congratulations and well done on your path. I think what Claudia was saying as well is so true, and I've observed that here because I've moved, as you can hear, from abroad back home. And whereas abroad, it's almost a given that you start small. Whatever education you have, you start as someone's assistant. You, if you can, you work and you do internships. You work, the whole way through your university. You work. And one thing I've observed since I've come here is that expectation that, I might come and work as your assistant, but what I really want is to be the boss. And the kind of lack of, for want of a better word, humility in the graft, that you actually have to graft and grind and work your way if you want to get to the next level. And I've noticed that, and I've asked myself quite a lot of times, where does that come from? Because I don't see it in my parents' generation, but somehow in this generation, there's that lack of appreciation of just the basic hard work that it takes to get somewhere, and the patience that it takes, and that dedication. So I would say that's my habit, really, is, I've been at my work, I look young, but I've been working at my profession now for, over a decade, 15, almost 20 years. I started when I was at school, grafting. I worked, always had part-time jobs, because I knew I didn't just want to know theoretically, I wanted to learn all the way while I was studying. And I went, from the beginning, I had 3 jobs. I would work as someone's assistant. If I had to intern somewhere, I'd work and then intern. And I would say, obviously not work to the point of exhaustion or, breakdown, but just keep at it, and again, bring the self-care in, do whatever it takes, prayer, meditation, exercise, keep a balance, don't make it all about work, but just that dedication and also humility. I would say, if you see, like you were saying, someone that you want to work with, go to them and learn, be open and humble enough to see that person for who they are, and know that, maybe I stay with this person for 1 or 2 years and learn, and in exchange give them all that I have, because what you give, you also gain back. If you give everything in terms of work to that person, they will in turn appreciate and give back to you. If you're just there in order to get their contacts, or just maybe to post it so that you can take their position, you're not going to get the same thing. So I'd say humility, dedication, and consistency. Those are the values or the habits that I would say are important.
Congratulations. I think you're the example of what I was trying to express, because the dream was in you. The environment was a no. the background was a no. The circumstance was a no. But you decided that you didn't want it to be a no. So when the opportunity arose, you saw it. But if you don't have the dream, you won't see the opportunity. If you don't have the grit, if you don't have the desire, I won't notice you. Or whoever you're waiting to notice you won't notice you. Because like everybody on this panel said, we meet a lot of people. And sometimes you're not in the mental space, you don't have the time to be able to even mentor the person properly. But if you're constantly sending me DMs, you're showing up at wherever maybe you hear I'm speaking, you're showing up at any of my restaurants, at some point I don't have a choice than to notice you. And that's your determination showing. So your story is exactly the example I was trying to explain. What are the habits is that, for me personally, is that my faith has seen me through very difficult times that didn't make any sense. It looked like I was just about to drop the ball, etc. So that's my starting point. And then it's writing out your goals and believing that I can squash those goals. I can do it. There's no difference between me and that person that I'm actually seeing as, I'm seeing the person as, oh, this person is doing really great. I don't see any difference between me and him. I can find so many reasons why I can't be that person. And I can also choose to find a lot of reasons why I can, but I'll choose the positive and not the negative. So I'm not gonna pay it so much mind. So your determination, your belief in yourself, your faith, and the fact that you're just not going to quit. I tell people, I'm not going to quit for you to win. It's either we're winning together or nothing is happening.
Thank you very much, Femi.
Habits, right?
Yes, habits.
I will start by saying that first, know yourself. There are so many tools online that would help you define your personality, would help define who you are. On the basis of who you are, you then map out your journey. I keep saying it's so important. I was from a very young age knowing that I wanted to go into advertising. I killed myself studying graphic design. I majored in art, history, and literature. I name it, I did it. I learned every software and everything. When it was time for a job, my first job, I went for an interview, and it was with MMRS Ogilvy, and I was supposed to go to the creative department. And at the interview, this was a panel of about 10 people, 10 prestigious people, and at the end of the panel, I said, you know what, I don't want this job. And they asked, oh my God, why don't you want this job? I said, well, you know what, if I think of the studio life, that's not my personality, that's not who I am. I can design, I can create, but I don't want to be in the studio. And that changed my path, because when the CEO looked at my CV, he said, Mariam, you look like you have an experiential marketing background. So we have a subsidiary of our business called Media Whiskets. And at that time, Media Whiskets had the license for Miss World. And we were running all the experiential events as part of MMR's Ogilvy. And guess what? That changed my career totally, because then I got into experiential marketing. But at the end of the day, I knew I wanted to do marketing, but I didn't know where I was starting from. But I took it a step at a time. I started from design, then I moved into advertising, then I moved into experiential, then I moved into technology when I moved to Vodafone. And I went on the biggest campaigns you can think of. Then I moved into finance. But you see, I knew myself. I knew that I wanted to be a trailblazer. Sorry. I knew that I wanted to surpass my career goals, right? But remember that we don't always have to have that dream as all of us. You have trailblazers, and you have the team around the trailblazers. So there are people who are good in making the dream work. You have those who are the visionaries. But when you know yourself, you can map out your plan, and you know what your journey is. So if you just give me 30 seconds, I just want to read something that my assistant wrote for me. And I use this opportunity to thank her. She's such a God-given person. I don't even know how she handles me, because everybody seems to run away from me at that point, but she's been very dedicated because she said, Mariam, I want to learn from you. I want to be like you, so I would go through the grind. And it says, regardless of who you perceive yourself to be true to yourself and your journey, and be willing to add or roll out good and bad energy respectively. Remember, we are not fighting against men. This empowerment is to be more than who we are expected to be. What I told myself was, in every career I have, I want to make a difference. When I moved into finance, I said I want to explore influencer marketing. And the day I told my boss that I was going to run influencer marketing using a hip-hop artist and an entertainer, Jocelyn and Sapoti, they looked at me and said, Mary, you're crazy. How do you mix oil and water? And I said, watch it, and it will work. I had those who supported me, I had those who didn't understand it. But it is humbling to see that today the financial sector has all evolved, adding entertainers as part of their marketing strategy. And for me, that is where my joy comes from, that I'm able to add impact, I'm able to evolve something. But there are people who too are also good in making it work. So your ability to understand your habits and who you are also then defines the change you make. Denta is here, she's so passionate about diaspora. She's so passionate about connecting two countries. So she pushes the boundaries to do that. So she's a trailblazer in that. She will start it, somebody will continue. But there, like I said, it's not everybody who would be a president. But when there's a president, there's a team around the presidency. And then there's a team below the presidency. But all these people come together to make it work. So just understand who you are, understand your personality type, and understand your journey, and know where you want to go, be it 5-year, 10-year, or a 20-year map. Thank you.
Understand your journey and where you want to go. Claudia, you wrap it up for us.
Okay, so I will wrap it up by saying that great conversation, by the way. Cancer researcher, congratulations. All I will say is I find we're all young people. Anyway, I'm 41, but I still see myself as young people. A young person. I think what I would say is, and I'm finding more and more, is we say more than we are ready to work for. These days you see a young person come and sit in front of you, say too much, they talk too much, and when it comes to actually working through the process, they're not ready to do that. So I think the attitude that I want and I pray that we have is the attitude to make sure that we're ready to work. Your boss come in at 10, so you also want to arrive at 10. Okay, who pays who? And so it's just some of these attitudes. We talk, but we are not ready to live and work up to that, work through the whole process. We see, people doing very well, and we also want to be that person. Do you know what the person has gone through? I was telling a woman, actually a big CEO in this country, was saying, you see, well, how did she even say, like a man, whatever, and you want it, you don't know that it's taken her 20 years to get that, and the work that she's been through, and you just finish university and say, oh, I feel like I've not achieved anything, because you're seeing somebody 20 years before she got that. So you feel you haven't achieved anything. How old are you? What have you done? What positions have you gone through? What experience, everything. Little experience, but we want to come in at the, top level. So it's just the humility, as they said, and the attitude to work hard. People recognize hard work. Nobody is silly, and everybody is very busy. So if you want to be seen, if you want to shine, be ready to work, and for somebody to see that shine in you.
If you want to shine, be ready to work. And that's how we wrap up the very first panel, Women Evolution, the Era of Empowered Women. You can give them another round of applause. Our speakers have been Femi Asante, CEO of Justice Initiative, Group Head Digital Marketing, Lesser Holdings. And then Claudia Lumo is founder at Glitz Africa. Yatayi is a writer and artist. I know you don't want to wrap this up, but we just have to make way for the next panel coming up. It's going to be hosted by my senior in the business, Araba Kumsin. It's going to be an exciting one as well. So we're going to go for a short break. Just a 5-minute break. Grab yourself some water. Get the contacts that I mentioned earlier. Don't forget to take the numbers. You don't know when you need it. Thank you very much, and thank you very much to our speakers. That was very, very insightful. Another round of applause, please.